When night falls over the town of Oroko, the air changes. The wind grows softer, the lights dim, and somewhere near the corner of Midnight Street, a smell begins to rise, sweet, rich, and strangely powerful. It sneaks through alleys, slips under the windows, and tickles the noses of anyone still awake. The people of Oroko know that smell well. It means Babatayo, the noodle seller, has started his nightly trade. Babatayo was an ordinary man in the eyes of most. He had a lean frame, dark eyes that sparkled like wet coal, and a face that carried both age and calmness. He spoke gently, laughed often, and never quarreled with anyone. Every evening, he pushed his small wooden cart to the roadside, light his charcoal fire, and set his silver pot upon it. Then he cooked noodles, thin, golden, and perfect, with fried eggs that gleamed like melted sun. People said no one in all of Oroko cooked like Babatayo. The spices he used were a mystery. His noodles were never too soft, never too dry. Even when one had no appetite, the smell alone would pull the hunger up from the belly like a song pulling dancers to their feet. Children adored him, women trusted his dark kindness, men respected his calm, but late in the night, when the customers were gone and the fires burned low, Babatayo's eyes would turn a little darker and he would speak softly to his pot as if it were alive. That secret no one in Morocco knew, at least not yet. That evening, a young man named Kunle walked slowly down Midnight Street. He was tired, his shirt dusty from the day's work at the sawmill. The smell of noodles brushed past him, gentle but commanding. He paused. His stomach grumbled. He smiled wearily and turned towards the familiar stand. Babatayo looked up. Ah, Kunle, he said with a warm grin. You are late tonight. Come, sit. The night is young and my pot is full. Kunle laughed softly. You know your food never waits for anyone. Baba, I'm lucky to find you still opened. The old man nodded, stirring the pot. The smoke rose lazily into the night air, glowing red under the lantern light. Within the pot, the noodles shimmered faintly, as though reflecting a light that came from somewhere beneath. Kune didn't notice he was too hungry. He ate quickly, praising the flavor after each bite, but halfway through he paused. His tongue tingled slightly. A strange warmth spread through his chest, not the warmth of spice, but something deeper, heavier. His eyelid fluttered, and the street around him seemed to dim. Babatayo watched him carefully, his smile still gentle. You should eat slowly, my boy, he said quietly. Food must be respected. Every grain has life in it. Kule nodded weakly and drank some water. For a moment, the feeling faded. He thanked the old man, stood, and left for home. But as he walked away, he felt eyes on his back, eyes not human, watching from the dark behind the stand. When the street finally emptied, Batayo covered his pot and looked around. Then, with a deep sigh, he whispered, they are satisfied tonight. From the shadows behind him came a low murmur, like the sighing of wind through hollow trees. The coals under the pot glowed bright red for a moment, then dimmed again. He wiped his hand, looked up at the silent moon, and said softly, one day they will ask for more than I can give. But for now, Midnight Street was silent, except for the smell that still drifted through the air, calling quietly to every hungry soul. That night, Kunle tossed and turned on his bamboo mat. The air in his room felt heavy, thick with a scent he could not place. Part spice, part smoke, part something older. He shut his eyes tightly, trying to drift into sleep. But sleep came with strange visions. He saw Babatayo standing over a pot that glowed like a molten gold. From inside it rose not steam, but faces, dozens of faces, men, women, and children, their eyes closed as if dreaming. Each time the old man stirred the noodles, the faces shimmered as though they were made of like liquid fire. Then the faces turned towards Kule and whispered, "We are the flavor, we are the life in the pot." He woke with a gasp, sweating. The moonlight painted thin silver lines across his floor. His heart pounded like a drum. He sat up, staring at his hands. The smell faintly of pepper and egg, even though he had washed them before bed. The next morning, he told himself it was just hunger, an exhaustion playing tricks on his mind. But deep down, something in him whispered that the dream was not a lie. The town of Oroko woke slowly with the dawn. Children ran with the buckets to the stream, mothers swept the front of their houses, and men gathered at the square for work. Yet even under the morning sun, the faint smell of noodles still floated in the air. It was as if the saints refused to sleep. At the center of the market place, Amafulake the herbal seller was arranging her calabashes when Kunle stopped by. "Ah, Kunle," she said, smiling. "You look pale. Did you not rest well?" Kunle nodded slowly. "I had strange dreams." Mama Falake dreams about Babastayo's noodles. At the mention of the name, her hands froze. She looked up sharply. "What kind of dreams?" He told her about the glowing pots, the faces in the steam, the whispers. She listened without interrupting, her eyes narrowly slightly. When he finished, she sighed and said, "Child, the spirit world hides in many things. Even food can hold secrets. You must be careful what you eat, especially at night." Kuli frowned, but Babatayo is kind. Everyone eats from him. Mafalake looked away. "Kindness is not the same as innocence, my son." Her word followed Kunle all day like a shadow. By evening, the street buzzed again. The smell returned, stronger this time, sweeter, almost intoxicating. People crowded around Babatayo's cart, laughing and shouting, their eyes glazed with delight as they slopped his noodles. Kunle stood at a distance watching. He noticed how Babatayo always served with his left hand. Even though his right was stronger, he noticed too how the coals never dimmed even when no one added more. And when Babatayo stirred the pot for a beat, for heartbeat, Kune saw something dark and quick move inside the golden broth. A flicker, a shadow, and high. He blinked, it was gone. That night, he could not stop thinking about it. Why did the fire never die? Why did the smell stay even after midnight? And why, whenever someone finished eating, did Babatayo whisper something quietly to the pot? He decided he would find out. The next night, he would not go home after eating. He would hide and watch what Babatayo did when the town slept. Far across the street, under a dim lantern, Babatayo stood behind his cart, humming a low tune. He looked towards Kunle's house, even though the young man was not there. Then, smiling faintly, he whispered to the pot, "Another curious one. The spirit will be pleased." The coals flared red once more, and the night deepened. That evening, the moon hung low and swallowing, casting silver light across midnight street. Kunle's heart dumped with quiet courage as he crept through the shadow, stopping behind a pile of old crates near Babatayo's cart. From there, he could see everything: the glowing pot, the rising steam, and the small crowd finishing their late night meals. He waited until the last customer left, their laughter fading into the distance. Then silence. Babatayo sighed softly, wiped his hand on a white cloth, and turned to the pot. He dipped his blade, he dipped his ladle inside, stirring slowly. The broth shimmered, glowing faintly red, and the air around it grew thick. Kule leaned forward. He saw Babatayo draw a small calabash from under the table. He opened it, and a thin blue mist curled into the air. The mist moved like it was alive, slipping down into the pot. Babatayo whispered, "Feed well, my friends. The living have given their stays tonight." The pot eased. A faint moan drifted from within, too soft for most ears, but Kune heard it. His blood ran cold. He stepped back, accidentally kicking a loose stone. It rolled across the ground and stopped near Babatayo's foot. The old man froze. Then, slowly, he turned towards the shadows. "Who is there?" he called softly. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp like a hunter's knife. Kuli heard his breath. The street was still, the wind whispering between the roofs. Abatayo looked a step forward, lantern in hand. The light spilled across the grate, just inches from where Kunle crouched. Then a dog barked in the distance. Abatayo turned, muttered, and went back to his spot. Kunle exhaled shakily, his heart pounding. He waited until Babatayo's finished cleaning, then watched as the old man took the pot, not home, but into the forest path behind Midnight Street. The forest was dark and silent, the kind of place people avoided after sunset. When Babatayo disappeared into the trees, Kunle whispered to himself, "Tomorrow night I will follow him." He ran home quietly, unaware that as he left, two faint eyes, red and flickering, glowed from the pot before fading into the darkness. The following night, Kunle left his house when the moon rose high above the palm trees. He moved quietly through the empty streets, keeping to the shadows. When he reached Midnight Street, he saw Babatayo again, serving his usual smiling customers. The smell of noodles filled the air, rich and inviting as ever. No one suspected the darkness hiding behind that sweet scent. Kunle waited until the last bowl was served and the laughter faded into the silence. Then Babatayo lifted his pot just as before and walked towards the forest path. Kunle followed, barefoot and careful, his breath shallow. The deeper they went, the colder the air became. The sound of crickets vanished. Even the trees seemed to lean closer as though listening. At last, Batayo reached a clearing. In the middle stood a large, flat stone shaped like an altar. Around it were broken pots, feathers, and melted candles, sigh of old rituals. He placed his noodle pot on the stone and began to hum a strange tune. The tune was soft but filled with something ancient, something that made Kunle's skin crawl. Then Babatayo spoke. "Oh, spirit of the forgotten, take what is yours. Feed and let me live another day among men." The pot glowed again, brighter than before. This time, Kune saw clearly. Hands made of smoke rose from the pot, reaching, grasping, pulling. They looked like the hands of people long dead. Kune's stomach turned. He stumbled backward, snapping a twig under his foot. Babatayo stopped chanting, his head jerked around. Who is there? He demanded, his voice no longer calm but sharp like a blade. Kunle ducked behind a tree, trembling. The old man's lantern swung widely, light sliding through the darkness. For a moment, Kunle thought he was caught, but a gust of wind swept through the clearing, blowing out of the lantern. The spirit eased, vanishing into the mist. Batayo gasped, hurriedly covering the pot. He muttered, "They are awake too soon. Someone is near." Kuni ran. He didn't stop until he reached the edge of town. His breath ragged, his heart wild. As he leaned against a wall, trying to steady himself, he whispered, "Those are not just noodles, he's feeding the dead." The following evening, Kuni could not sleep. He kept thinking of smoked hands, the glowing pot, and Babatayo's soft chant in the forest. The young man knew something must be done. He returned to Paduro, the village elder and keep of old stories. Paduro listened quietly as Kunle recounted what he had seen. His face darkened. "You have seen what few living eyes may ever see," Paduro said. Babatayo has made a pact. He feed the spirit and gave him life and luck among men. But every dish costs something, the soul or a piece of your spirit. Paduro handed Kunle a small sharp. "If you must go back, take this. It will protect you from their grabs. But beware, the pot is hungry for the living." That night, Kunle approached Midnight Street with a mixture of fear and determination. Babatayo served his usual crowd, but when last customer left, Kunle followed him into the forest again. At the altar, Babatayo began stirring the noodles. "They are hungry," he whispered. Smoke rose, thick and black, forming veins, human shapes. Kunle held the sham tightly, feeling warmth flow through his hand. He realized that the spirits were restless. They knew he had washed. Babatayo murmured to them, calming them, "Tonight I have brought only the willing. Do not harm the innocent." Kunle understood Babatayo could control them, part of the old pact, but he also knew that each night the control might weaken. The spirits were patient, but one day they might demand more than noodles. Back home, Kunle could not shake the whispers. Even in the marketplace, the faint scent of noodles haunted him. At night, he dreamt of the pot again, but this time it whispered his name. The following evening, he returned unseen to watch. Babatayo's pot glowed brighter than ever. He muttered, "Feed the hungers, bring the one who watches." Kule's heart raced. The spirit reached for him from the pot, but the sham glowed, forming a protective shield. He realized that the pot was alive in some way, craving attention, craving souls. It was clever, patient, and dangerous. Kuli decided he needed to understand the noodle's magic. He stole a small bowl after Babatayos left the cart unattended. The moment he tasted it, visions flooded in. Faces, whispers, shadows, memories not his own. He gasped, dropping the bowl, and the liquid vanished into the air. The sham protected him, but he knew it would not last forever. Abatayo appeared suddenly from the shadows. "Curiosity is dangerous, young one. Are you ready to pay the price?" Kuni nodded. He would learn the secret, even if it meant risking his soul. That night, the spirits grew bold. When Kule watched, they slipped from the pot and wandered the forest like lost children seeking food. Abatayo had to speak sharply to guide them. Back to the pot, patience. The next day, Kule followed Abatayo to the market. He saw the old man purchase a small calabash of red powder from a hidden store. The powder shimmered strangely under the sun. Babatayo sprinkled it into the noodles each night. Paduro had warned him, the powder is the source of the magic. It carried part of the spirit world into the living. If misused, it could bind a person forever. Kune tried to warn villagers. Do not eat from midnight street at night, he cried. Some laughed, others frowned. They had tasted the noodles and loved them too, much to believe his story. Only a few elders listened, shaking their heads. The pact is old, one said. No one breaks it lightly. Kune realized he could not rely on others. He had to face the mystery alone. One night, Kune followed Papatayos into the forest once more. Kune faced a terrible thought. If Papatayos disappeared, the spirit would hunger for living soul. If he left, the town was doomed. If he stayed, he risked his own spirit. He touched the charm Paduro had given him and felt a small warmth of hope. He decided he would learn the secret but only to protect his town. This time, the old man performed a full ritual. Candles, feathers, and whispered words he could not understand. The pot bubbled violently, smoke and fire mixing as the spirit rose higher than ever. Kune hid and watched heart racing, learning the rhythm of the magic. He realized he might one day have to replicate it to survive. Kune faced a terrible thought. If Babatayo disappeared, the spirit would hunger for living soul. If he left, the town was doomed. If he stayed, he risked his own spirit. He touched the charm Padro had given him and felt a small warmth of hope. He decided he would learn the secret but only to protect his town. By dawn, Kunle had made his choice. He approached Babatayo with humility and courage. Teach me, Baba. Teach me to feed the spirit, but not to harm the living. Babatayo studied him quietly, then nodded. The spirit obeyed those who respect them. Come, my boy, there is much to learn. And so, beneath the rising sun, Kune's journey began. He was no longer merely a watcher, he would become the apprentice of the noodle sellers of Midnight Street, balancing the delicate line between the living and the spirit. If you are interested in the part 2 of the story, let me know in the comment section. Bye for now.